Riley's emotional state is getting increasingly more complex in Pixar's Inside Out 2, as Riley is going to experience a whole new range of emotions. A few prospective characters, however, were cut before they even made it past the cutting room floor in the vibrant chaos. When Pixar released Inside Out in 2015, the film's studio exposed us to Riley's deepest thoughts. Riley's an 11-year-old girl who moves with her parents from Minnesota hometown to a new home in San Francisco. That brought with it many complex emotions, and Riley was able to overcome them all with the help of joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust. This allowed the emotions to reveal something new about the feelings they were experiencing, as well as the girl they helped raise over the years. Riley's life is going to get even more complicated in Inside Out 2 when some new emotions are introduced.
Hello!
Even though joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust are all back, they now have to deal with the arrival of anxiety, envy, ennui, and embarrassment, with Tony Hale and Lisa LaPera representing fear and disgust, respectively. Interestingly enough, a few of those were actually in consideration for the first Inside Out, but the Pixar directors Pete Docter and the rest of the creative team chose to stick with the 5 core emotions mentioned above instead of adding more characters, which could have complicated the plot and made it difficult to follow the action. The director Kelsey Mann and the rest of the team behind Inside Out 2 initially had 9 new emotions making their initial appearance in Riley's mind, much as the first Inside Out attempted to incorporate too many emotions at first. Speaking about emotions that were thought about but ultimately decided against using for Inside Out 2, Kelsey Mann revealed that he went back to the very first iterations of the original Inside Out to see if any untapped treasures could be brought back for the follow-up. As a result of this process, Schadenfreude, which had been considered before, was given another look. Pete Docter apparently tried to incorporate the odd German feeling of Schadenfreude in the first film, but couldn't figure out how. Mann has disclosed that he tried several different story alterations to incorporate the new emotion into Inside Out 2, but he was unable to make it work. Schadenfreude, which means literally damaged joy, is frequently defined as the feeling of shameful happiness or the delight one experiences when one witnesses another person's misfortune. This very particular feeling was first articulated by the Archbishop Richard Chevenu Trent in 1853's On the Study of Worlds, where he called it a mournful record of the strange wickedness which the genius of man, so fertile in evil, has invented. Put another way, it's probably not a new feeling that lends itself easily to a visual medium. However, it might have made for an intriguing alternate portrayal of Amy Poehler's joy in Inside Out 2, a more sinister take on her upbeat, optimistic outlook.
New emotion!
Unfortunately, the inclusion of it ended up being a part of a larger issue. Early versions of Inside Out 2 were trying to do too much, which is why the filmmakers were unable to find a suitable place for it in the end. While ennui, embarrassment, envy, and anxiety will all be introduced in Inside Out 2, director Kelsey Mann claims that shame was originally intended to be another emotion character. It would have been intriguing to observe Riley's reaction to this feeling in the impending follow-up. Shame is an emotion that does appear to surface during puberty and, if left unchecked, can send a person into a deep and dangerous downward spiral. Shame is the root of some of humanity's most destructive habits, so Inside Out 2's exploration of this could teach both young and old audiences valuable lessons. Although shame is only one of 5 emotions removed from the Inside Out 2 cast, suggesting a general simplification of the narrative, the reasoning for its removal is still a little unclear. Even though Pixar produces lighthearted, rewatchable films for families, the studio rarely steers clear of intensely emotional content. A strong emotional element can be found in some of their most memorable films, such as the opening montage of Up, the mother of Nemo's passing in Finding Nemo,
Coral?
the last-ditch effort to keep Hector's soul from being forgotten forever in Coco, and the protagonist in Toy Story 3 facing their impending demise. But shame also had the quality of being an arc villain. This element was carried over into the new feelings in a way. The 30-minute preview video makes it clear that the new emotions aren't very friendly towards the ones we already know and love.
What's your name, big fella?
That's embarrassment.
One of the doctors who provided support to the Inside Out 2 team also denied denied that shame was a real emotion. While shame is a real emotion, not everyone experiences it in life, but we're all prone to anxiety. It's simply superior. I believe that this is a more pertinent topic for discussion than some sort of self-shaming preventage message. Another significant feeling that was omitted from the movie in an attempt to simplify it was guilt. Mann clarified during the press conference that the team wanted a giant luggage cart like at a hotel to represent guilt. The Inside Out 2 team chose to burden anxiety with this burden rather than bringing this emotion to the big screen. Anxiety now has suitcases to carry, which stand in for this mental load, as seen in the Inside Out 2 trailer. The walls of the studio held numerous concept art and artwork pieces from the film that were available for inspection by journalists. Many intriguing ideas and emotions that were not included in the finished movie were showcased on one of the displays. Fortunately, Pixar was gracious enough to share them nonetheless. Several of the removed emotions have distinct looks but no names. For instance, this vivid yellow emotion is dressed as a punk with a mohawk. It could stand for rebellion, a crucial adolescent trait. Jealousy was one of the main emotions that was considered for Inside Out 2, making it to the Cut Ideas board and being one of the few rejected emotions that had a suitable label. Concern, mistrust, doubt, and skepticism are further options. Not to mention, Popularity Island is a concept that seems ideal for a tale about a young girl growing into a teenager. Mann underlined that one of the main factors contributing to Pixar's success is the film's rewatchability. While movies can have a deep and lasting impact, he made the point that a family film should be made to be seen again and again without hesitation. The creative team had to reconsider the emotion's appropriateness for the movie since its inclusion made watching it seem more exhausting than enjoyable. It was evident that the number of active characters needed to be reduced, but choosing which ones to keep and which ones to drop wasn't a simple process. Thanks to his generous employer, a highly resourceful studio, Kelsey Mann was able to meet with a professor and the director of the Berkeley Social Interaction Lab at the University of California, Berkeley. Mann then asked which emotions stood out to the professor as being the most significant for a teenager after explaining to him that they were characters that were supposedly going to be introduced in Inside Out 2. Appropriately, feelings that can be influenced by relationships include ennui, guilt, envy, and anxiety. Anxiety is a deliberate stress brought on by outside criticism. Envy is a wish to possess what others have. Embarrassment is a realization that one is ashamed in the eyes of others, and ennui is the absence of social engagement. These are all emotions that surface when we approach adulthood, as Kelsey Mann explained. The fact that Inside Out 2 only introduces 5 new emotions is probably a good thing. Limiting the number of new emotions feels like a wise move to prevent losing control of the narrative, since there are few other important characters that were introduced in the film but aren't emotions. On the bright side, there will be one more emotion that will join the 4 new emotions. As Riley entered the emotions control room in one of the most recent film promotional clips, viewers got their first look at her as Riley's 5th new emotion, nostalgia. And what will be her 3rd Pixar picture after Toy Story 4 and Soul, veteran stage and screen actor June Squibb is slated to voice nostalgia. It isn't yet apparent how significant of a part nostalgia will play in the overall story, but nostalgia is depicted as a contented, elderly woman nostalgically recalling the good old days, even though those days were only moments ago. The voice and appearance of nostalgia, the new emotion that turns Riley's mind inside out once more, can be seen in a new clip that the studio has released. Grannies naturally will reflect this range of emotions that the past evokes. And Riley, how is she going to handle this? It won't be long before we find out. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.